Hey, welcome back to 755 is Real. I'm David O'Brien, Braves writer at The Athletic, and I'm with my co-host, former Braves reliever, Eric O'Flaherty. What's up, Eric?
What's up, Dave?
Not much, man. Well, a lot, actually. The Braves got a 13-1 win last night against the Mets, which you don't see many games like that between these teams anymore. I mean, that was and I think the Braves really needed it as not a statement, but just to feel good about how this series starts. They came in on a 6-game winning streak, extended that to 7. But most importantly, it was just a week and a half ago that they dropped 4 out of 5 up in New York. Really did not play well at all and didn't pitch well at all. So last night, I thought to get 5 innings from Strider on a night when to come back from an hour rain delay, you don't see that much anymore, especially from a young kid who they care a lot about. But he went and threw an inning, a simulated inning during the rain delay, stayed warm, and came back out and really put together a good outing, So it's good for him to come back out and finish with a nice outing, 5 innings of 1-run ball against the Mets. And the offense just exploded against Carrasco and then against their bullpen.
Yeah, well, you saw why pitchers hate doing that. Carrasco pulling his side, whatever he did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really hard thing to do. I thought it was smart they didn't push his pitch count after having him sit.
Mm-hmm.
But, you get all this adrenaline, you get going, and as long as you keep that sweat going, your body keeps feeling good. But when you crank it up that much and then sit for a while, you start trying to move again. I think it's easier for younger guys. But when guys in their 30s try to do that, it's like the signal's just not there. Your body just doesn't respond, and you just keep feeling stiff. But, I mean, you got to get hitters out, so you still got to, get on it the same way. And, I mean, you saw right there why guys hate those rain delays.
I'm sure it helped that he's so conscious of everything about his body and the plyometrics and the stretching and all that crazy. He's rubber band man from all reports on people who've stretched with him. So I'm sure he stayed warm, stayed hydrated, and like I said, pitched an inning plus another 5 or 6 inning after he went down, pitched a simulated inning, struck out everybody. Took a little break and then pitched another 5, made another 5 or 6 pitches before he went back in the game. So, and Snit said they were told that it was going to be dissipate pretty quickly. He said otherwise they would have probably shut him down, but they knew it was going to be by pretty quick. So it was a 55-minute delay, and he'd had an extra 3 days rest. He had 8 days rest, I think, since his last start. So, which was against the Mets, right? Yeah. So that was why they opted to do it, and it worked because they saved the pen, didn't have to, use an extra guy, and came through it really well, all things considered. But just the encouraging signs from the offense last night.
Yeah,
Acuna really starting to put together good at bats and has been now for a week and a half. Dansby had gone through a little slump on the road. He had 3 hits last night, 3 RBIs. He got home runs from Contreras, Rosario, and the big one from 3-run shot from Darno in his first game back after missing 7 games. That was huge. So just a lot of good things about that game for the Braves last night to open a series, an important series. They cut the lead to 4.5 games rather than go up to 6.5 games, with 4 left in the series. So it was just a really important game, I thought.
Well, yeah, and if they can, if you sweep them,
that ain't happening. I know. Scherzer and DeGrom coming up. But you're right. But I hear you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The pressure you can put on them with having a good series here. More than likely, you feel like you want to get one of these next 2, if possible, and send them out up 3. But if you could be up
4-game series.
Oh, could win. 4. So if you could take 2 or 3.
Yeah. If you can win 3 out of 4 games, man.
3 or 4, and you could put some pressure on them with this series.
No doubt.
It's you kind of send a message beating them 13-1 or whatever, but it's nothing like losing 4 out of 5. It's not like we got them back, we're even. They got a lot more work to do. But if they can do some damage in this series, the whole thing's just putting that pressure on them, not letting them get comfortable. If they walk out of here and take 3 out of 4, they feel like they got the division wrapped up.
Especially with Scherzer and DeGrom starting half those games. And they got the Braves. Something to keep an eye on is Thursday, of course. Everybody's eagerly anticipating who that's going to be. Thursday is TBD. Could be freed, could be right. It's going to be freed if he's passed from the concussion protocols, which I think he will be. That's about the good time frame for him to come back from that. and without having him to go down and have to make a rehab start or anything like that, just slot right in there, gives him an extra rest, which is probably good for him, having that little bit extra rest. That helped him last year, a couple of incidents where he had that. So if they can get him back for that, that would be big for that series finale on Thursday. So tonight you got Charlie Morton going against Taijuan Walker, who the Braves actually knocked around last week. If you remember, he was the one guy they really knocked around up in New York. So they got to have some confidence going up against him. Yeah,
he's been been good for them, but he's not in that Scherzer DeGrom tier at all.
Yeah. Or even Bassett.
Bassett's been really good. I mean, you look at the Mets and it makes sense why they're where they are. They're starting pitching, Diaz closing, but getting that one last night's huge. The biggest thing for me was Strider talking shit and then backing it up.
Yeah. I agree. There were some good post-game quotes about that. Strider obviously has heard a whole lot about it from a lot of people since then. And the guy's got a great personality, and it came through because rather than get all defensive, which some guys would do and not handle it well at all and go, you took it out of context, what I said. I didn't mean. He was funny about it. And it's just a really good sign about what kind of kid this is, that at his age, he's not trying to pass the buck or revisionist history or blame others for something he said. He's owning up to it. He goes, He said, I needed my chamomile tea after that game. They didn't have it in the clubhouse in New York. He said, I was frustrated. And it basically said, I said some things I regret saying, and that's what he basically said. But he made light of it, I just thought he handled it terrific. Now, maybe if he'd have got knocked around last night, he wouldn't have handled it so great. But I thought he said all the right things when we asked him about it afterwards. He said, I talked. Somebody said, well, you talked the talk after that last game, but you walked the walk tonight. He goes, he laughed. And he said, I talked the talk. It was not exactly what I was trying to convey after that game. I definitely needed my chamomile tea. I didn't have that in the clubhouse in New York. I was frustrated. Like I said earlier, they're a pesky team, and they just grind at bats. They don't strike out. They don't swing and miss. And that's kind of how I pitch. So they're sort of the opposite of me. I knew it, and I didn't make an adjustment last week. So I chalked that up to them. When you put the ball in play that much, things will go your way a lot of time. You've got to still hit the ball hard on occasion, and they do. I just sort of leaned into it a little bit, just expected that kind of stuff to happen. Didn't expect to strike a lot of guys out, talking about last night facing them again.
Yeah.
Said just wanted to get ahead, fill up the zone. So he just handled it perfectly.
Again. Well, he did too. I mean, he was pounding the zone early on, and they still were able to have a 20-something pitch first inning against him.
Yeah.
Just battling. I mean, first hitters fouling balls off. But just for me, when I see a guy say that, I never had the balls to really criticize another team in the media because it puts a target on your back.
Yeah.
And it becomes a thing. And then you get in a little trouble in that first inning. You can get distracted and think, is this because of what I said? Or are they, how are they going to respond and it turns into a distraction versus it's just hard enough to pitch. But, knowing he did that on accident, hearing his quotes and stuff, it's still there. And he handled it perfectly. He went out and he made his adjustment, stuck to his game plan. He didn't get wrapped up in that moment where, I'm sure if the Mets would have started raking him, you were going to see some antics. And they wanted to get his ass yesterday, and he just stuck to his game. Yeah,
he pitched 5 innings, which was something considering the rain delay and what you just said, more than 20 pitches in the first inning. It's about 42, I think, in the first 2 innings. I have to go back and look at my score sheet, my scorebook. 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts.
Yeah.
So it's a nice line. He didn't try to strike everybody out, just went out there, made an adjustment for that team, and good outing. He's got a 3.04 ERA right now. They got 7-4. He's been terrific since moving to the 5-hole. He and Harris have been – Harris, I would say, has probably been the biggest key to the turnaround, all he's done. But Strider has been a big part of it, too, because he moved to the rotation, remember, right when they took off in June. Just like
when Harris got called up. That's what I was going to ask you is who you giving the rookie of the year to if it ended. Well, if it keeps up like this. Me too.
Harris. I think it'd be close to unanimous right now. I really do.
And I think it should.
And I think Strider right now would probably be second.
Yeah.
There's going to be some other guys that get votes. A couple of Chicago guys that were with the team early. So have put up some bigger counting numbers. But as far as slash lines and especially the clutch hitting, oh my God, Michael Harris. I couldn't believe some stats when I was looking him up last night. His numbers in close and late situations.
It's unreal.
And I'm talking about against everybody. He's hit like 414. He's got over a 1,300 OPS, like 29 ABs. He's got the highest OPS of any major league player who has at least 10 at-bats in close and late situations. Any major leaguer.
It's such a good sign that he gets better.
Youngest
he gets better under pressure. That ball he hit in Miami, lefty. I mean, never seen the guy 99-mile-an-hour fastball.
Insane.
I mean, he keeps, so many guys, when you hear you're getting 99 from a lefty, that just can't help but bail. And you throw a bad pitch, and nobody wanted to give him credit. They're like, oh, it was center cut. Anybody can hit that. No, nobody can hit that.
Yeah.
Not like that. Not 420 to opposite field.
To your point, note in the game notes last night on that home run, 99-mile-an-hour fastball from lefty Tanner Scott, out to left center. Harris was the fifth this season that either tied the game or put the Braves ahead. But listen to this one. Since 2008, only one other left-handed hitter homered the opposite way against a pitch as hard as that from a lefty. Rafael Devers, 102.8 off Aroldis Chapman to left center at Yankee Stadium in 2017. That is the only guy.
Thank you.
2008. Also, since 2008, there have been 2,507 pitches at 99 or higher from a lefty pitcher to a lefty hitter. 2 home runs. Those 2 hit the other way like that.
I'm telling you, like the ball Freddie hit off a hater last year.
Yeah.
It's like when you see that, especially for me as a lefty pitcher, it's just like that doesn't happen. It didn't happen at 93.
Yeah. In fact, in the same time frame since 08, only 3 other lefties homered against a pitch as hard from a lefty to any part of the stadium, even pull shots.
Well, and that's the thing, though, is, if it's the pull shot, would think would be a little easier because you would expect a guy to cheat against a pitch that fast.
Right.
And that's why the velocity is so effective in the first place, because then they're cheating to get to your fastball. You throw the slider. But to stay in there on it and drive it the other way, 99, I don't care if it's on a tee. I mean, it's just so fast.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. I mean, that's some crazy strength and hand, the bat speed, the hand quickness, the hand eye is so off the charts with this kid, man. Off the charts. He's a strong kid and he's got great bat speed. He's just and obviously has a terrific eye. I mean, I'd like to know what his vision is, what he tested at that spring training thing, because I know Chipper was like 2015 for I think his entire career, even at the end of his career, still 2015. He doesn't even wear glasses. He's got like readers finally, Chipper does at 50. But
he just feels elegant in those
But his
things.
vision was still like 2015 at the end of his career. Ted Williams famously was like 2015, 2010, whatever the most extreme that you can be. I mean, the greatest hitters all have that. You got to be able to pick up balls, pick up spin, see that red dot, all that, But
there's got to be something special about you to hit that pitch. You don't run into that.
And they also didn't they when you were with the Braves already start that depth testing? They did visual depth testing.
Maybe.
I don't know if
they did
the
a lot
pitchers
of
had
weird
to do it or
tests,
not.
but
They did, maybe the pitchers didn't do all the same tests the other guys did, but they did some kind of visual depth testing, like to test your, how you could judge depth going out. They had some sophisticated testing for that. I was told that when Andrew did it, it was like off the charts how good his was, Andrew Jones.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do so many tests in spring training. It's like, you're adjusting to a different time zone or different sleep schedule. You just kind of wander through all that. And then most of the time, none of it comes back for anything.
Right. Right.
You have the weakest grip strength in camp. Go get them this year.
Yeah,
It's never like, hey, let's work on your form. They're just testing just to have the information. So, I don't remember. I know we did vision testing and we did hearing testing and all this different testing, but it seemed like nothing ever came of any of it. But if a guy has, like crazy vision or something like that, he'd get around camp.
That's why I laugh when people say, when a guy gets some kind of an injury early and like Rosario's thing with his eye and all that, it's like, why didn't they test for that? I'm like, man, if you guys knew the testing they do at spring training, if it was the problem before spring training, it would have been
Exactly.
caught. Things happen, things develop quickly. But
yeah, those physicals take like 2 hours. I mean, they do everything.
They devote like a whole day, at least they used to, to doing them. So big game last night. And then, like I said, Dansby getting the 3 hits, 2 of them, runners in scoring position. He's like, remains so good. And I did something today. I talked to Dansby before the game last night because we talked about after the kid Vaughn Grissom's first game, he got a hug from Dansby on the field at Fenway, like first guys that hugged him. And, I just wanted to talk to Dansby alone last night and just kind of ask him, is there some kind of awkwardness? He's your double play partner right now, but you don't understand the situation. You know what people are saying, that he's the one that could replace you next year.
Yeah. And
Dansby, of course, handled it like you would expect Dansby to handle it. And he was sincere. I could tell he was sincere. He said, man, I told the kid the first day that he was up, he said, this is all about us winning. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. And he goes, if you got anything you need to talk about, I'm here for you, man. If you want to talk about baseball, life, anything, ask me. I'm here. So he made the kid immediately feel good. Whereas it could have been a total opposite. He could have been a veteran prick going, I know you're here to take my job, and really not said anything or said the minimum to the kid, or just had that kind of look to him, that would have,
you ain't shit.
Right. That could have in the game made the kid feel like apprehensive or, worried more about what Dansby's thinking than what he should be, focused entirely on the ball and on the pitch, And so I just thought that was pretty big of Dansby to let him know right off the jump that, this isn't about next year. This is about right now winning and us winning in October. So glad you're here and anything I can do to help.
He's got to convince himself of that too. I mean, I know he sees it and he knows the situation, but if you start buying into that and getting wrapped up in it, it'd always be you get to spring training and there's just 2 other lefties in camp, trying to take your job, or you're competing with one of them for a job or whatever it is. And you feel the energy, especially when you're the guy whose job they want. And it's like, you can play into the game and you can get wrapped up in it and check the box score when they pitch and see, oh shit, say Paco or somebody, he went an inning with 3 strikeouts. I got to go do better. And you can get so distracted with all that shit, or you can go out of your way and make them comfortable and be the bigger person. And then it's just done. And then when you go over and you compliment them and say, God dang, man, your slider's dirty.
Yeah. It's
crazy when you make somebody comfortable and you don't play that game, how quick it all just fizzles out. And they're like, okay, this guy's awesome. Maybe I don't hate him anymore. I'd love to take his job, but he's a good dude. And all of a sudden that tension's gone. You just go play baseball. But what I'm saying is when you feed into that negative energy, you absorb it too, and it changes how you play and it affects how you play. When you're around people that have been in the game long enough, they know that, look, Dansby knows if he goes out and puts up his numbers, he's getting paid. Sure, he wants to be here. If it works out, it works out. But instead of let it be a distraction, you just embrace it. Make this guy comfortable, focus on winning, and then your personal focus is on winning too, just by sending that message. You believe your own message.
Yeah. And Braden Shoemake said the same thing last year when I talked to him at minor league camp, actually this year before, during the lockdown when I talked to him at minor league camp. He said, I asked him, is there anybody that, has helped you out, worked out? He said, Dansby's the best, man. He goes, that guy comes up to me during early spring training games. Braden Shoemake was with them the previous year. And great for the games. And he said, I come out of the game, Dansby sits down between every innings and talks to me and everything. He said Dansby was awesome working with him, another shortstop prospect. But I was just talking to him about Grissom, and Grissom's got this personality. He's kind of magnetic and dynamic, and the smile, the good looks and all that. And
got a lot that Dansby has.
Right. And, Dansby said when he first got up, he was just asking me some things. I said, listen, brother, as long as your actions and intent is aligned with us winning, nothing matters but that. Like, that's it. And if your actions and intent aren't aligned with that, then we'll have a conversation about that. But this has everything to do with right now, us playing well, to be able to help us give ourselves a chance come October.
And that's a leader, it's like you said, if he was a prick to him and just, giving him the cold shoulder and not telling him everything and being short with him, the guy's going to be like, what the fuck's Dansby's problem?
Right.
I'm worrying about that. And it's crazy how people's energy, especially teammates' energy, can distract you in a game where if they do their best to just make you feel comfortable and make that focal point winning, and all you're focusing on winning, your numbers take care of themselves.
And I asked him about him. I go, I got you. He's played a solid second base considering he only played there 7 games this year in the minors, right? Dansby goes, he's a great athlete. So anybody that's a good athlete with some baseball savvy to them, they're going to obviously be able to perform just fine. Talking about middle infielders, moving over or whatever. Hey, before we talk a little bit about Dansby and his situation in the future, what you got a commercial for us, Cam?
Yep. Like to shout out the good folks over at LinkedIn. As you gear up for fall, you need the right people on your team to help your small business fire on all cylinders. LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. It's why small businesses rank LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/real. That's REAL. That's linkedin.com/real to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And just real quick, you guys mentioned the Rookie of the Year odds. It's kind of a landslide at this point. BetMGM, our partners, has Spencer Strider at -115 and Michael Harris at -105. And I think the line moved on Strider after last night. The next closest is O'Neal Cruz, and he's at basically 101 odds. So it is definitely favoring those two. They're the front runners by a country mile.
I give it to the guy that plays every day.
Yeah. I think you have to. I mean, unless he was going out and putting up, Scherzer numbers, going 7-8 innings every time out, and even
if
then,
they ride him down the stretch and he goes, 7 innings with 10 punches and just dominant performances for another month and a half, and Michael kind of falls off and shoots some balls in the outfield or something,
Right. If Michael were to fall off or something, and Strider were to keep up this strikeout rate, which is historic, really, it's going to be the highest ever for a Brave. Then but otherwise, I'm going with the guy who's playing. He should win a Gold Glove. Really, he should win the Gold Glove this year. I'm playing with the guy that's playing Gold Glove defense, being the best clutch hitter on the team, and just coming through again and again offensively, while hitting almost 300 now. Yeah, he's hitting 300 with power, with more power than we ever thought he was going to have this early. Yeah, I'm going with that guy, and it would be a hard luck runner-up for Strider if you get, but there's nothing wrong with that. It'd be the first 1-2 finish for the Braves since Freddie and Kimbrel. Or Kimbrel Freddie.
The other way I look at it too is the way Strider's doing it is extremely impressive, but the impact it has doesn't change. Whether he strikes out 10 or 2,
right?
And I think that's part of why he gets as much hype as he does, because he's throwing 99. It's going to catch your eye.
Yeah,
he's punching guys out. But if you go 7 innings with 2 strikeouts, 1 run given up, you have the same impact on the game. But the way he's doing it it's eye-popping.
Going back to Grissom, he's hit .429, 9 for 21 in his 6 games since he's been up. He's got a couple homers, 3 walks, 4 RBIs, 13-10 OPS in 6 games. Yeah. It's now 7 games. He scored at least 1 run in every game. This kid is if there are any questions about whether he's ready, I know it's early, but I think he's pretty much answered them. He could go into a huge slump, but that swing is real. It's pretty, man.
Yeah.
And he's got power that he's obviously quickly developing, because he's hitting with more pop right now than he had in the minors, really.
Well, and they're not wall scrapers.
Right.
The 2 he hit.
Yeah. I love those singles he lines to left field. Yeah. Now, when they start shifting on him, they might be able to take those away because they're all going to pretty much the same spot,
Yeah.
But it's got a pretty swing, is my point. And he's really athletic. He can run. Schnitt was not too happy with that first to third dash last night with 2 outs, but he was safe. But he was safe only because Alonso was totally stunned that he was going. Alonso was like, what the heck?
That happens.
If he'd have been ready, he'd have thrown him out. But anyway, He's shown, he's got balls, he's daring, and he's a really good athlete. Great in the clubhouse, personality-wise and all that. My point is, he's going to be hard to keep in AAA next year, and I don't think the Braves want to. They want him here if he's going to play like this.
If he plays like this,
but I think it's too early for everyone just to assume that, okay, they got their shortstop next year, because it's too easy to dismiss, especially when Dansby's been going through a little bit of a lull for him, what he's meant to this team this year, throughout their rebuild, the World Series championship and everything. Dansby was right up there with Freddie as far as the leadership on this team.
Yeah.
He just didn't put up the eye-popping numbers that Freddie did, obviously. But as far as being a clubhouse leader, solid veteran presence, a guy that knows how to say the right things to guys and without being an ass, without being overbearing, without being, he's just got that touch.
Working every day.
Plays every single day.
Yep.
He's played every game this year, every inning, except for one game in Philly where they were getting blown out. And Snitz said, come out of the game. He was kind of nicked up at the time. Says Snitz said, come out. You need to come out of the game for about 3 innings. That's it. He's played every other inning.
Yep.
Leading the majors, games played all once, played 160 last year. I mean, he plays every day, plays through a lot of nicks and that kind of thing. And he's going to compete for a Gold Glove this year. He could win a Gold Glove this year. Defensively, his metrics are off the charts. He's taken his defense to another level, and it was already really solid, which is my really long-winded way of getting to the Braves can keep Dansby and move Grissom to left field.
Yeah.
Grissom is a really good athlete and could probably be an average to above average shortstop, if not now, then in the future. Dansby is an elite defensive shortstop now. He's gotten to that point, and he's not – he's only getting better. I don't think Grissom's ever going to be the defensive shortstop Dansby is. Grissom is an athlete that is probably going to – scouts have always thought he might outgrow shortstop at 6'3" when he puts on more weight. Sure, there was Cal Ripken, there was A-Rod, but those are exceptions. Most shortstops are not 6'3" and tall and 240 pounds, 230 pounds, which he might be before it's all over.
Yeah. I've looked at him and thought, like, shit, when he fills out.
Yeah.
Because he's still got a kid body.
Right. And you don't want him to fill out to 230 at shortstop,
No.
He can still be good, but he's not going to be having the range that, and he doesn't have Dansby's arm either. In left field, this guy could be the guy, they have a need in left field next year.
Yeah.
Now, I know Rosario's signed for next year, but Rosario, to me, looks like he'd be a great fourth outfielder. And also, if the kid struggles at all like next year, you'd have a guy. You always have injuries. We've had them this year all year. You've seen the Braves had injuries all year in the outfield. There's no problem having a guy like Rosario as a fourth outfielder going into the year. That's pretty much what he was this year. And this kid's special. And I could see him really flourishing in left field. And if you sign Dansby long-term, you would have your entire infield locked up for the next 7 to 10 years, man. 7, 8, 9, 10 years. That's something to be said. Then you could build around that each year, with pitching, spend your money elsewhere. And I'm talking about if they could get Dansby for a reasonable price. I'm not talking about $25 million a year. But with what they're saving on those deals for those other guys, I'm talking about Austin Riley, Olsen, of course, Acuna, and, of course, Ozzie Albies. You're never going to pay those 4 guys more than a combined $68 million in a year. There's a lot of teams that are going to be paying more than that for 2 stars.
2. Yeah, for 2.
A lot of teams are going to be paying that within the next 5 years. A couple of them already are now. A few of them already are. I don't know. I don't see any reason why, with the Braves payroll going up, it should go up even more. With the money they are raking in, because they are doing big business. They should have a $200 million payroll now. They got 180. There's no reason you can't fit Dansby at about $20 million a year right into that. And then you're paying at the most for those 5 stars, you're paying $88 million a year. And then you can re-sign Max Fried. You still have enough money to sign Max Fried and then fill in the rest of it with these young guys that aren't making much money for a while. And then when the guy like Grissom needs to make money, you're going to have some other money coming off the books.
Yeah. For me, it's just kind of like, I don't see him being the highest bidder, and then he's gotten to this point where if he was going to take 15 or 20, you'd think that had been on the table already.
Yeah, I don't know. They've both been really, really quiet and careful, especially after the whole Freddie situation and having the same agent. They've been careful not to say anything. But I've talked to Dansby, off the record, and there's not the frustration there that there was with Freddie. But at the same time, he's not like, I'm not going to say what he said off the record, but I don't think that this could go either way. Yeah. And I know we said Freddie loved it here, and he did. He wanted to stay badly, and we've seen that from his reaction and his actions this year. Dansby is from here. He's not adopted Atlanta. He is Atlanta. He's born and raised here. He loves it here. He doesn't want to play anywhere else. He's not a California guy. He hates the taxes out there. And even though he looks like he'd be a California guy or a New York guy, let's face it, Dansby would be an anywhere guy. But the way he looks and the way money he's going to make on the side and all that. But he's an Atlanta guy. He's a Southern boy through and through. And his lifestyle and his points of view and everything, this is where he's from, and he wants to stay. If the Braves make him a decent, fair offer, he'll stay, and he'll be here. And I just think that team going forward, man, oh, my God, having those 4 infielders plus Acuna locked up in right field.
And the leadership. It's
the leadership, yeah.
You look at what Freddie's leadership did, and he passed it on to Dansby, obviously. You could see it, Dansby playing every day. But I always ask how many of those guys you can afford to lose and expect the torch to just keep getting passed. And every time somebody leaves and passes it on, it's like, guy's going to put his own spin on it,
Yeah.
And you got to hope you got the right guys leading. Being able to watch him play every day. Who better for Grissom to get to watch than how Dansby goes about his business and model himself after that.
Yeah.
And with Grissom, it's hard not to get excited, but he's kind of past that first test of, can you handle the bright lights? And the next, it's a lot like Austin Riley. The next one is the league's going to adjust to him.
Yeah.
If he doesn't start driving some balls the other way.
Look at Austin Riley's first 20 games.
Yeah. And so you got to kind of pump the brakes on just thinking he's just the replacement and he's just going to be this guy. And you could spend that money somewhere else, because Dansby done it for a long time. And, there's something, Dansby's got that X factor. Like that play he made in Arizona a few years ago where he ran and dove into center field and threw the guy out at home plate. Not many shortstops even go after that ball. And a lot of times, just something about him that's special.
Some plays he's made at third base when every other shortstop would throw to second or first, and he gets that lead runner and gets him out. He was like, whoa, didn't even know that was possible to do that. But he thinks about those things.
He's got game instincts. Yeah.
He's got that clock in his head, the geometry. He knows the angles. He's a savvy player. He's not a superstar. No, but he's a star. And he's a solid player that there's so much to be said for that leadership you're talking about. Culture. We talked so much about how important the Braves winning culture has been, the clubhouse chemistry. They don't win the World Series without that chemistry. Right. You can't just keep lopping off guys and replacing them and expect it just to continue, because one time you're going to have the wrong guy that's going to be the assertive guy. You're not going to be able to vet every time perfectly. One guy might change as he gets older, whatever. With Dansby, you don't have to worry about that. He ain't changing. Austin Riley's not changing. And Austin Riley gives so much credit to Dansby for helping him become a solid third baseman. Says Dansby talks to him throughout every game. Wash says he's got the codes, man. I don't even have – he's got – all the other guys have the cards. He's got my cards. Yeah. He positions the guys now. I can trust him to do that. I don't even have to do it. Dansby does it from the field. So to expect a 22-year-old kid, which is how old Grissom will be next year, to step into that and take over, no, that's not going to happen. Or to expect a guy that you sign to a bridge contract for a year to come in and be so vested in the Braves culture, good luck with that. It might happen, but it's a good chance it won't. So I'm just saying that some of the other guys you have signed long-term are terrific players, great personalities, good guys, energizing guys, but they're not the kind of leaders that Freddie was, that Dansby is. Those boring pros that Snit talks about that are steady guys. Austin Riley's a boring pro and steady guy, but he'd be the first to tell you he's not a rah-rah clubhouse guy. Get everything. Freddie wasn't that guy standing on. At the end, he was a lot more so, talked a lot more.
Yeah, but Freddie's loud in the clubhouse. There's certain guys that they know how to be on the field, but in the clubhouse, Freddie's loud. He's calling guys out. Yeah. It's all, the purpose is all for the team. It's all for the better, but guys start doing stuff they shouldn't be doing or showing up late, it's like they're answering to Freddie, and you got to have guys like that on your team. And there's other ways to lead too. It's like if you don't feel like doing your early work and you're thinking about doing your early work and I'm a little sore, I'm not going to do it. And you get there at 2:00 and Dansby's already out there with Wash. As a young guy, what reason do I have not to do the same work? But when you get a vet that's you come in, he's sitting on the couch in his slider shorts watching golf.
Right.
It's like, oh, that's how we do
or
things.
on his phone.
Yeah.
Or just staring at his phone for the entire pregame.
Not talking to anybody. I'm going to grab another breakfast burrito.
Right. So you're not going to change guys' personalities, and you don't want to change everybody's personalities, but it's nice to have that leader, man, that steady guy, that team, nothing but matters but that, and going to play
at
every
a primo
single
position
day.
too.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's the thing is, man, you can't have enough of that up the middle. I think Michael Harris is going to become that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to become a quiet leader and pretty quickly, probably. But he's going to be that kind of guy that's steady, that plays every day, that doesn't cause anything but positive vibes in the clubhouse. No disruptions, no distractions. He's going to be that guy. But it's going to be a while. He's 21. But I don't know, man. I'm not preaching anything to Alex or telling Alex anything he doesn't know. He knows the value of chemistry. He knows the value of chemistry. And Snitz certainly knows the value that Dansby has. But I just hope ownership realizes how important it is that they keep these guys and they keep this clubhouse vibe going because, they overcame the loss of Freddie and they've done it pretty admirably. I just don't know how many more times you got. I mean, Matt Olson, he'd tell you he's not that kind of guy that's good,
Well, it's hard to be that on a new team too.
Right.
It's hard to show up and just be like, here's how we do things. The whole team's like, no, we've been doing it this way for 4 years and we just won a World Series.
Yeah.
It's you show up and adapt more than you show up and lead.
Yeah. So, hey, big night tonight besides the game at Truist Park with Charlie and Taiwan Walker. Up in Rome, hour and a half up the road, we got Mike Soroka making his first rehab start, and there's going to be a lot of people paying attention to what happens in Rome. Jeff Schultz is going up there for us, so we'll be covering it. I was going to go if Jeff didn't want to go or couldn't go because I knew we had to cover this. And, man, I know I'm going to be keeping one eye on my game day on what's coming out of Rome and how he's pitching. It'll probably be 2 or 3 innings. 2, I would guess 2, like the first start of spring training, 1 or 2 maybe. I don't know. But he's pitched a lot of sim games down in Florida. They've been really slow walking this to make sure that that he's doing all the drills as far as covering first base and all that, because obviously you just cannot have this happen again. And they want to make sure that he, in his head, he's ready. Everything's ready physically, that there's no chance of having another problem with the Achilles. So they've done everything they can possibly do. You got to turn him loose at some point. And this is it, man. This is it.
At some point, you got to take those training wheels off and push them down a hill and just.
It's been 2 years since the first tear. 2 years.
Yeah.
Well over 2 years.
Yeah. And the same for him. You just got to go out there and do it. He's chomping at the bit, but you also think about what a difference maker he could be if he can get to the point where he's ready to throw 4 or 5 innings by the playoffs. You do that opener thing with him. I'd let him start, but that's one of those things that's when you look at the matchups, you're looking at how we getting past the Mets. You got to face Scherzer and DeGrom. Well, you throw Fried and Soroka.
And if not this year, then certainly next year. If he just shows enough this year to know that, hey, it's important for him, obviously, to get some starts in, get some innings in to know going into the offseason, I'm back. I'm ready. I'm ready for next year. That's important. It's also important for the Braves.
Yeah.
Is this a guy we can count on for next year? How much do we pay to make sure he comes back? That kind of thing. If they see enough in the last month and a half to think we can pencil him in for the rotation next year, whether it's in the middle, the back, wherever.
Do you think there's any chance that they wouldn't? They could work something out, but he's going to make some money through arbitration if he gets tendered, which I don't think there's any chance they wouldn't if he.
Right. They put so much into him, that and he's such an important piece for them and is so popular with the guys and so talented that I don't think it's going to get much of an arbitration raise, right? I mean, they go off of what you did. I mean,
no.
So even if it just stays even if he stays right at 2 point whatever million, that's
worth the gamble.
Certainly. Yeah. I think I would be surprised. You've come this far with him. It's been 2 years. 3 surgeries, all the rehab, that if he shows he can at all, that he's capable of pitching next year, I would fully expect him to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I agree 100%. I've just seen the question asked, and in my head, I'm like,
yeah,
God, the reward there. I mean, what if he went to another team and he was back?
Right. And you got him through 3 surgeries, and he goes, and he's 25 years old still.
Yep.
All-star in 2019, finished 6th in the Cy Young, I think. I mean, he was ace.
It's so easy to forget how good he was.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the future. Freed was taking it back, backseat to him.
Soroka was the best pitching prospect they'd had in quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was supposed to be the next of the big 3 caliber kind of guys, that good.
Mm-hmm.
So if he comes back anywhere close to that, he can certainly help them in the middle of the back of the rotation next year. And if he comes back better than that, who knows?
If he just comes back as himself, he's an ace.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. So really eager to see what happens there. And also the injury with Buehler out for the rest of the year, man. Season-ending elbow surgery. He's out. Season-ending surgery. You got to wonder
or like a nerve cleanup.
They don't know until they go in there. That's one of those things. El Latrage, whatever his name is going to go in there. So until they go in there, they're not going to be really sure what they're going to have to do. Might be Tommy John, might be something less, huh?
That doesn't make sense. Well, you do an MRI, right? But they're just going
but it's been nagging. It's been nagging, and I don't think they're really positive that it's going to be Tommy John, but I bet it will be.
If you go in there, it's Tommy John.
He's out for the year.
Sound ligament.
He's out for the year, and he could be out for the start of next year. But the thing is, man, if you're the Mets and the Braves, you're looking at that going, all of a sudden, you were expecting him to be back for the postseason. I mean, they've had a lot of injuries, and that pitching staff, you don't know what you're going to get with Kershaw. Is this back going to be healthy? It's when the playoffs roll around?
Yeah.
If you're the Mets and the Braves,
could throw a perfect game, or he could give up 7.
Yeah. The Mets and the Braves, you're looking at your pitching against their pitching and going, you could make a case. The Mets is better, obviously, with their guys healthy. They're the best. They're better than the Dodgers. But the Braves can make a case for having a better rotation than the Dodgers right now.
Yeah. Oh,
Their guys are all healthy.
Yeah.
Braves guys.
And I was looking at the playoff structure. Once you get to the second round, there's 1 day off. And then you go to the division or the championship series. To go to the World Series, they play 2 games, day off, and then 5 in a row. So it's going to make it harder for guys. Guys are going to have to do stuff like pitch on short rest, bullpens. If your starters aren't good, your bullpen's going to get worn out. And it's going to make it a lot harder to manage.
And it helps the Braves having multi-inning guys. They got several of them.
That depth pays off.
Several guys that can go more than 1 inning.
Yep.
Guys like Colin McHugh, that can give you multiples. They got some more that are working into that. A guy like Freddie Tarnok could be a guy like that. So
he got called up, right?
Yeah, Freddie Tarnok called up today. Another guy I'm really eagerly anticipating seeing. Highly regarded right-hander. 6'3", great stuff. He's got 101 strikeouts, I think, in 82 innings in the minors. Has been dynamite since promoted to Gwinnett. 5 starts there. He's been a lot better there, ERA and whip, than he was in Double-A. Like an ERA close to 2.
I watched him throw. They didn't have the velocity on there, but his shit looks pretty nasty.
Yeah. Whip under 1 and 5 starts at Gwinnett. So you're looking forward to seeing him. The DFA Danny Young after he went 2 1/3 scoreless last night to finish that game. So wouldn't be surprised to see him end up back outright into AAA.
That sucks.
But we'll see. So, all right. And he got Goins on the team. But added some infield. They needed another versatile infielder on the bench for sure. They were going shorthanded there for a while. And Chadwick Trump, who was terrific in that game the other day, pulled the quad on us and then stayed in the game and got would have been a third double.
Yep.
He goes on the 10-day IL, but he'll definitely be back. So those are the moves today. Big game tonight. And we'll talk again about where the Braves do with this series and about how Soroka's start went next time we have one of these at the end of the week. All right, everybody. 755 is real. That's out. That's it. We're out. We're over all that. See y'all.